Alright, so my goal in this video is to create my character for this game using the Cepheus Engine. So I have here, you can see set out two copies of the rules. So one of them has the checklist, and the other one I'm going to flip through the chapter on. So let's go ahead and get rolling. So we'll start. We have to roll our six characteristics. So the six characteristics are, let's see, strength, dexterity, endurance, intelligence, education, and social standing. So let's go ahead and roll these up. So first for strength. Strength is a 6, so pretty average. Okay. Then for dexterity, dex also a 6. Next then, for endurance, 6. The most average character ever. Okay. Um, oh, a 7, even more average for intelligence. Oh, a 9 for education. So that's something that's at least slightly higher than normal. And then finally for social standing, a 5. It's a little bit on the low side, so not somebody particularly important. Okay. All right. So that's first, and then we need to figure out what the modifiers would be. So flip through a couple pages. So anything 6 through 8 is going to be at a +0. So that's going to be most of my stats. That exception being education, which gets a +1 modifier, and my social standing is going to be at a -1 modifier. So on the whole, very average as far as this goes. Okay. Then we have to determine skills first from the home world. So home world, I decided we created that in the previous video. So I finally gave it a name. So it's Kugethia. Kugethia is a dry world, low gravity, very little atmosphere or water, governed by a very strict impersonal bureaucracy, maintains some level of unity among its diversified population, internally quarrelsome, though enterprising. A scout base was established to enable exploration nearby. And I also, after the previous video, established the rest of the sector here. And so I put Kiethia right in the middle of it. And you can see that it exists on this communications route here. Uh, Also, there are some trade routes that happen around it, though it's mostly on a communication route between this a starbase here, and then there's a naval base further up, and I guess up and to the left. Right, so it may be possibly influenced by that. Okay. All right. So anyway, so for homeworld, we need to get some background skills from that. So turn pages a bit, get those. There we are. So our homeworld skills, we gain background skills. You get a number of background skills equal to 3 plus your education modifier, so that would be a total of 4 background skills. First two have to be taken from the homeworld. So the homeworld, first in terms of law, is considered high law. It has a law level of 9, which is quite high, right? So that means we'll start with melee combat of 0. Okay, so at least have minimal training so we don't take penalties when we're involved with melee combat. And then other codes, we had poor and non-agricultural, if I recall correctly. Let's double check that. Let's see. Yep, non-agricultural and poor. So non-agricultural doesn't actually provide any kind of skills. Poor, however, does. So we get animals 0. As there would be at least some interaction with animals here. And then we get 2 other from this primary education skills list. So let's see. And be an extremely average person, just slightly more educated than normal. Let's go ahead and throw in, how about, let's do computer 0, and also medicine 0. That could be potentially useful down the line. Okay. The next thing we need to do is figure out a career. So the career here, I want something that is going to make some degree of sense given the skill levels. So in this case, someone who's relatively educated, not particularly high in social standing, and also that makes sense given where we are in the sector. Right, so looking at options, I'm going to flip through a little bit to get more of the details about these. Right, so an athlete would require pretty good endurance to even join. That's probably not going to happen. Aerospace defense, maybe, because 5+ is not a huge requirement. Being an agent, I suspect not. Barbarian, probably not. It's a very like, highly populated um, planet. Belter, there are no asteroid belts around. A bureaucrat, probably not with the low social standing. So, colonist, probably not. What I'm thinking right now is that it might make sense for them to be involved. Maybe like scout would be the obvious thing because there is a scout um, base here. Problem is that they will almost certainly die. Yes. Requires survival rolls of endurance 7+. That's not looking good. Now, on the other hand, surface defense, that's plausible. Is endurance 5+ to join, and that's not too bad. But education 5+ to survive, so that is actually that's pretty good. So let's say they would do that. So just to clarify what this is, so the surface defense. So this is somebody, it's a member of the planetary armed military force operating on the non-hydrographic surface of the world. Basically, it's a planetary army. Right, so I'm going to say that this was what their background was, um, though they do have to qualify for that. So let's go ahead and do that roll to see if they qualified for the surface defense. If not, then they end up either having to enter the draft right, or being a drifter. So I'm going to go ahead and roll this. So we need endurance 5+, which should just be a straight roll of 5+ since I don't have an endurance modifier. 9, we're in. Right, so in this first term of service, we are going to serve with surface defense. Okay. So we chose our career, we qualified for the career. This is our first career, so we don't take any penalties on that roll. So that means then we can go on to step 4, which is basic training. So what that means is that our basic training is anything listed under the, well, I guess first thing, when you join, we started at rank 0, which would be a private, and it says we get gun combat 1, which is actually kind of unusual for somebody on our planet. You'd actually have gun combat as a background, but we do. All right, so gun combat 1. The other thing would be we also get the service skills, I believe is what it is. It's the service skills, so all of those we get at a 0 minimum. So mechanics we get at a 0. We also get gun combat we already have. Gunnery as well at a 0. We already had melee combat at 0. Recon at 0. And also, finally, a battle dress at 0. Battle dress is related to your ability to use certain types of armor. All right, so we got our skills. Then next thing would be we have to roll for survival. So did we actually survive that first term of service? So the way this works, you start at age 18, then you serve 4 years in each term. So we need to find out, did our character survive to age 22? The answer, it turns out, is no. You need education of 5+ in order to survive. I rolled a 3 plus 1 gives me 4. So this character apparently died in their first term of service. So start over again. All right. That's one thing about the Cepheus system is that death in character creation is an interesting thing. It is. There are tools online where you can actually automatically generate characters and can put in some parameters for it, and some of them will generate like literally 1,000 characters for you. Then you can just flip through and choose from them, and that's a way to, I guess, maybe move more quickly through the oh my character died before I got to play with it. But oh well. So let's try again. Right. So we're going to make a new character. Let's see what they have. Oh, this is already looking much better. Strength 11. It's significantly better than before. Dex of 9. Good, good, good. Right, so one like thing that the death in character creation does for you is that it helps you sort out weak characters. Now, there's of course a great deal of chance involved as well. It's into 7. All right, education 6. This is not as educated a character this time. And then finally, roll for social standing is a 6. All right, so this is somebody that's far more physical than before. So when I rolled it up, it was strength was 11, which would be a +1 modifier. Dex was 9, another +1 modifier there, a +1 modifier in endurance. Intelligence was 7, education 6, and social standing 6. So no modifiers on those ones. All right. So this new character now from the same planet as before, right? So they'd have the same list of choices in terms of their starting skills here. So again, high loss, they'd have melee combat of 0, and we would also have again poor, so animals 0 there. This time though, we have a +0 modifier to education, so we only get 1 additional skill from this list. Now this is a fairly physical person. So which of these makes the most sense then in that case? Yeah, none of these are particularly physical skills. I'm just going to put carousing. So carousing is 0. All right, now let's try career again. All right, so we want to look for something that benefits from like physical abilities here. All right, it also makes sense. So the first thing that comes to mind, I'm going to check Scout because there is the Scout. Uh, okay, this wouldn't necessarily be terrible. Although endurance of 7 plus is still real hard to actually survive through. Um, you know what? Yeah, let's try it. Okay, so I think they're going to go for in their first term. So term 1, they're going to go for Scout. Let's see if they qualify first. They need intelligence of 6 plus. There are no modifiers on this one, so you need to roll a 6 or higher, and they barely do. All right, which means then, so they are in the Scouts that first term. All right, and let's see if they survive it. Well, I guess we would need to write down all the skills. So they do automatically get Pilot 1. Right, you see this one doesn't have ranks, so as soon as you're in, you get Pilot 1. And they would also have the service skills of comms, electronics, gun combat, gunnery, recon, and piloting. Okay, which I mean, piloting already happened once, so I'm gonna have to write that down again. All right, now let's try this one more time. Okay, so do they survive the first term? We need to roll 7 plus. I do get a +1 on this, so I need to roll at least a 6. And we do survive the first term. Whew. So we made it. So we at least survived to age 22. All right. So since we did succeed, we get to go to the next step. So you can see in the checklist it says to go to step 8. That's actually a mistake. That's a typo in here, right? So begin as a rank 1 character. Now, if it offers a commission check, ours does not offer commission checks, right? So we don't have commission or advancement checks at all. So we operate a little bit differently. So when we get to skills and training, it says we get to choose one of the skills and training tables for the career to roll on, right? So I can roll either in the personal development, in the service skills, the specialist skills. Advanced education requires a higher education level than what I have. I want to say you have to have like 8 or something like that in education to be able to roll on that one. Right, so let me double check this. Yeah, you have to have education 8 or higher to use the advanced education table. We don't have that. So, what I'm going to do, I find that playing solo, it makes a great deal of sense to work on skills and training, specifically because this Jack of Trades. Because Jack of Trades, what that does is normally you'd have an unskilled penalty of 3 if you're using a skill that you don't actually have. But Jack of Trades helps to offset that. So you can get this up to a level 3. Level 3 basically is equivalent to saying, I at least know a little bit of everything, so I'm not going to take any skill penalties. If you have it at level 2, then your skill penalty is a -1 instead of a -3, and so on. So let's go ahead and check this. I rolled a 1, so that's +1 on strength. Hey, that's not bad, actually. I think it's my strength up to 12. Oh, which I recall correctly, that makes my stat there up to a +2 for the modifier. I'm gonna double check that just to make sure I'm not lying about it. So 12, yeah, I'm up to a +2 for strength. Cool. Okay. Right, so now I have to make the decision. Um, so, oh, and because we're in a career that does not have a commissioner advancement check, I can roll a second time, choosing one of those tables. Could be the same or different. I'm actually going to roll on the same table again because I really do like like that table for solo purposes. And I get a 4. Awesome. That's Jack of Trades. So I got Jack of Trades at a level 1. That's very good. All right. Now we age, so we're up to age 22. Right. And I need to decide whether I want to re-enlist. Now, technically, I do have to roll for re-enlistment, right? Okay. Let's see. So to roll for re-enlistment, I need to roll a 6 or higher to re-enlist as a scout. Okay, so it might be 12. Okay, so 12 actually has a consequence. If you roll a natural 12, you cannot leave the career. You have to continue for a second term. Right, so I guess term 2, I'm going to be in the scouts again. All right. So now I need to roll for survival. So you go back then to step 5. So you roll for survival. Let's see if I survive. My second term, that would get me from age 22 up to age 26. And again, I need a 7 or higher. I made it. Okay, nice. All right. So in that case, I get to go and again roll for 2 skills. I'm gonna stick with that the general, what is it, the personal development. That's what I got there. So 5, so that increase my education by 1. So I go from 6 up to 7. Doesn't change the modifier at all, but still it's nice. And then one more time, same table. 3, that increases my endurance by 1. So I go from a 9 up to a 10. While that doesn't change my modifier, that does mean because your hit points are based on your physical stats. That would increase my hit points by 1. And endurance is actually the stat that gets hit first in combat. So that is kind of a nice thing to have. All right, next thing, I'm going to age again. So now we're up to age 26. I don't have to roll for aging yet. That starts to kick in at about age 34, it says. Um, which in my own experience is probably fair. All right, now let's go ahead and roll. Let's see whether I can re-enlist or not. Okay, 7. Now for re-enlistment, I need at least a 6. So now I do have the choice. Right, right. So I rolled high enough that I can decide whether I want to continue for another term or whether I want to leave that career and take my benefits, maybe enlist in a new career, or just retire entirely and go and start buying starting equipment. I feel like I'm tempting fate every term that I'm in this. So I think I am going to actually retire here at age 26 to take up adventuring instead. Right, so I decide to leave the career. That means I go to step 10. So I roll for benefits. So you get 1 benefit roll for every full term served in the career. So I get 2 benefit rolls. I'm just going to go ahead and roll both dice here. That would then give me, let's see, I get the 2 and the 4. So I get another +1 to my education. So my education is up to an 8 now. Again, not high enough to actually give me a modifier on that, but At least it's a little bit higher than it was. And then 4, I also got a mid passage. And one bad thing about this is that I have literally no money. Okay. Oh, wait. Oh, I forgot. I have to choose whether I'm going to go for material benefits or cash benefits. Okay, let's undo that. Okay, that's my mistake. No, what I want cash benefits definitely. Like, while certainly some of the things the scouts could get, specifically the ability to get a vessel, is very tempting. Nonetheless, I kind of want to roll on the uh, on the cash table. So I'd like to, you know, buy stuff. Okay. All right. Now I think there is a limit to how much you can roll on that, if I recall correctly. Let me go back and look at the details here of mustering. Yes, you can do up to 3 benefit rolls on the cash table. Well, I'm only rolling twice, so and I don't have the gambling skill, so I can't add a +1 to that. All right. So let's go ahead and roll. I'm just gonna, yeah, roll completely on the cash table. All right. So let's roll it again. All right, so I got a 3 and a 6. Oh, that 6 is nice. Okay, so it's 10. So I got a total of 60,000 credits. And that is going to be very useful. Okay, now I've got to buy some starting equipment, so we'll flip over to the equipment chapter. Okay, let's see. Oh, this is the skills chapter. And psionics chapter. Equipment. Awesome. Okay. All right, so the world that we're on, which we created last time, in terms of its tech level, that's actually fairly high tech. It is so, and that means this is what it can produce, right? So it is actually considered early stellar, right? So it has jump capabilities and the like. So I could buy any of that locally if I wanted to. All right, let's go ahead and turn. So first, in terms of armor, let's see. Now I do have actually. I don't have any skill for this character in either battle dress or in 0G, so I'm going to need to have fairly basic armor as far as that goes. So let's do. Okay, the tech level has to be 10 or less as well if I'm going to be buying it here at home. Right. I'm gonna say it makes sense maybe to have mesh armor. Maybe 150. So that's not bad. So mesh gives me a AR level of 5, so it will reduce damage by 5 whenever I get shot, and that is 150 credits. Okay. Next then, I certainly would need some kind of communicator. Right, so let's do, when I have the money, we have the tech level. Right, so let's go ahead and do the long range communicator, which is going to cost 500 credits. That's part of my equipment. So 15 kilograms, since it's a backpack size communicator. In terms of computers themselves, so you can have a hand computer at tech level 7, which we certainly have at least that high. Um, let's see, I could get a Model 2 computer for 350, but then it costs twice as much if you're going to make it handheld. So yeah, let's do that. So 700 for that computer. It's a Model 2. Okay, good. And in terms of software, is there anything I specifically want? Let's see. And a lot of these require a tech level above what is necessarily going to be available to me here at home. But something like, okay, so in the Scouts, having a translator program makes sense. So let's go ahead and get this translator 1 on it. Right, so that level would cost another 500 credits. All right, and continuing. I'm not going to bother with any drugs right now. Explosives, I think, would be highly illegal for me to own on this planet. Personal devices, yeah, yeah, like little things like a watch, sure. That seems very believable. Unless I have a watch. Actually, a compass makes sense as well. Being part of the scouts, that'd be something that I'd probably have. Um, I could actually believe like some kind of radiation countered metal detector as well. What is this inertial locator? I don't remember what that is. Inertial locator indicates direction and distance traveled from a starting location. Interesting. Hmm. And we do have high enough tech level for that. What about the electromagnetic probe? Okay, and that can be. Okay, that doesn't look very useful. The electromagnetic probe is apparently it's a diagnostic tool, which I don't suspect. Those aren't the types of skills that he seemed to develop here. Right, so a compass, yes. I'm gonna go ahead and add in the metal detector and the radiation counter as well. Okay, metal detector 300 and that was for the radiation counter another 250. I have quite a bit of money, so I'm not particularly worried about a lot of this. A robot, probably not. And these are all tech level 11, which goes a little bit above what we have on our planet. So, no. Other sensory aids, these are all perfectly believable, actually. So, um, okay, let's see. Yeah, let's go ahead and throw in. say- I think it's funny that it's a science fiction game, but then you have like oil lamps you might possibly have. But, oh well. So I'm going to say, let's say, uh, light intensifier goggles. It's very believable. 500. I think a cold light lantern makes sense. And that would be another 20 credits there. Then what else have we got in terms of shelters? I suspect they wouldn't have shelters because I think I decided before that given the tech level and the rather the nasty atmosphere here is so very thin that probably people are living in domes, which means that there'd be very little reason to carry around your own equipment there. Survival equipment, there'd probably be at least some of this. I'm trying to remember exactly. Let me look. Okay, so our atmosphere here, so we got the size of 3. I believe it's atmosphere 2, if I recall correctly. Atmosphere 2. Let's double check what exactly that meant. It's maybe quite a bit of flipping here. All right, so atmosphere of 2. It's page like 170 or something like that, where they talk about this. All right, there we go. Atmosphere of 2. I believe that is correct. So let's see, it's starport, C, world size of 3, so you get atmosphere 2. So what kind of equipment would we need to survive in that? A respirator and a filter. So it's believable then that he would likely have both of these. So either some kind of suit that has both of them, right, or both of those separately. So going back a bit more. Okay, it's all about combat here. Okay, now we're getting closer. All right, those are tools. Okay, here we go. So let's see. Oh, the combination mask would do it. Combination has both filter and respirator on it, and it's within the tech level. Okay, yes. So I'm going to say it's combination mask is the most likely. That's 150. All right. Oxygen tanks. I don't think necessary because we don't have. It's not an exotic atmosphere. It's just a thin one. Thin and tainted as well. Um, respirators built in already. I don't see really having an environment suit or anything like that being something that would be particularly likely here. Um, at the same time, part of the scouts maybe. So yeah, let's say that that is something that he has. So environment suit. All right, 500 credits for that one. Thruster pack. No, no, that's yes used in zero gravity, which he has no skill for zero gravity. All right, so I think we're gonna skip that portable generator while we have the tech level for it. We certainly don't have 500,000 credits. In terms of toolkits, Liquidus abilities. So he has melee, animals, carousing, guns, electronics, gun combat, gunnery, recon, jack of trades, one. So, like, he doesn't have any medicine at all, so having a medical kit would be kind of strange. He doesn't have any, like, techie kind of skills. So I'm gonna say no, probably not. I mean, yeah, I don't think it actually makes sense. Similarly with vehicles, these are all, one, very expensive. Um, so probably wouldn't have that. So we'll skip that as well. In terms of weapons, one thing we have to remember is that the law level indicates that a lot of these things are going to be illegal. So looks like so like LL is where it first becomes illegal. So the question is he the kind of person that's going to be carrying around an illegal weapon? I'm going to say probably not. Uh, Not to say we'll never acquire one, but on this planet it's just illegal to have a weapon. So I don't I, I don't find it plausible that he'd start out with a weapon. So might have to acquire one later. Probably will have to acquire one later. Oh, and certainly any kind of gun combat or ranged combat weapons are also going to be illegal as well. All right, so I think that that is basically going to finish it because then we just have other even heavier weapons that are certainly illegal. Right, so in terms of character creation, I think that is basically it. We do kind of have the finishing touches to think about here. So let's flip back to the character creation, just kind of those finishing touches pages, right? So things like a name. And so I pulled up a random name generator a while, uh, a little bit ago, and the name that it gave me that I kind of liked, right, was Mies Kinson, which I think I'm going to go with that. So we have Mies Kinson, right, of the planet Cugathia. Right? Um, in terms of gender, I'm going to go male, just like to my own experience. Uh, Appearance, I'm looking fairly strong, high endurance. I'm guessing he's probably a biggish guy. Social standing not too high, so probably not particularly good looking, I'm suspecting. Right, so fairly average. He's like the big average looking guy. There we go. Personal goals, I'm actually going to skip that at this point, is I'm going to have that come about next time when we do the story setup. So I want to try to make it so that he would actually be interested in the story as it's going to unfold. So I think that is going to do that for tonight. So I will get all this put into a character sheet, and then next time we'll be looking to do the story setup using the Covetous Poets Adventure Creator and Solo GM Guidebook. So this is Profi signing off.